Hello everyone. So we are back with the session on business communication, and in today's session we will be talking about emotions. Can anyone tell me how emotion plays a very important role in our life and how they act as a barrier to communication? What are the reasons because of which we say that emotions act as a barrier to communication? Why they act as a barrier? So let's just take a normal example, and let's say that a person is very angry, and that time you're just trying to communicate with him, that time you're just trying to talk to him. What will happen during that time? What's going to happen? Is he in the right state of mind that he can understand, or he will understand whatever you are trying to say? No, definitely not, is not going to understand. And that is why we say that emotions are something which plays a very important role in communicating. It is, emotions are something which uh, limits your mental ability to openly communicate your thoughts and feeling. It is putting a limit to your mental ability. It is putting a limit to understand whatever you are hearing. So whenever a person is angry, or whenever a person is very happy, or a person with a disturbed mind, a person who is very excited, in all those situations, you will see that people are not understanding the true fact, the real context of the message. Because usually during that time, what they do is they just listen to the facts and figures. They just listen to the things. They do not pay attention. They do not, sorry, they just hear the things. They do not listen and understand what the other person is trying to communicate. So now when we talk about emotional barriers, so there are a few different types, like anger. Anger is one of the reason which affects the emotions. Whenever you will see a person is angry, it is going to affect the flow of communication. Anger will act as one of the type of emotional barrier to affect the flow of communication, to affect the communication. Second is, the pride. We might have come across many people who are very proudly. That again affects the flow of communication and the anxiousness and depression. So these are some of the things which affects the flow of communication, which affects the communication process and doesn't let the communication to deliver the right and the true context of the message. Now, in today's session, we are going to discuss about what are the ways by which one can overcome the emotional barriers. There are many ways by which a person can overcome emotional barrier, and at times that is really very important, because whenever you are communicating, whenever you are trying to communicate, whenever you share your feelings, it is very important that you find out those ways by which you can overcome those barriers, those emotional barriers. Because whenever we are communicating with the intention of delivering and making other person understand whatever we are saying, right? That is the real motive, and that is the real aspect why we are communicating with other person, right? If we don't want other person to understand whatever we are saying, so what's the need of communicating? Why we are going to communicate? So for that reason, it is very important to find out those ways by which you can overcome those emotional barriers. So the first way by which you can overcome the emotional barrier is analyzing your emotional intelligence can help you establish a baseline against which you can measure improvement. So this means if you are going to analyze your emotional intelligence. Like if you will analyze how your emotions varies, what are the reasons by when you get emotional, what triggers your emotion, what triggers your anger, what makes you anxious. So this way, if you are going to analyze your emotional intelligence, this way it can help you to improve and have control over your emotions. Make a note of triggers. Now, if you remember when we were talking about the anger management, there the first thing which we have learned was it is very important to know your trigger points. What are the trigger points? What are the things which makes you angry? Same way here also, it is very important to know the triggers. If you're not going to know the triggers, what makes you happy, what makes you anxious, what makes you depressed, what makes you excited, until and unless you're not going to know those things, you cannot keep those things away from you. You cannot work on those things. You cannot improve on those things. So for those reasons, it is very important that you know those trigger points which will help you to have control over your emotions. Let's say a person who do not know what makes him angry, and if he just lend himself in that situation again and again, he won't be able to control his emotion. But if he will know, let's say that if he knows that unnecessary discussions is going to make me angry, he can just keep himself away from those unnecessary discussions so that he doesn't land himself into the anger zone, right? He doesn't get angry, he doesn't get frustrated, which will create imbalance. At that point of time, if someone is communicating with him, someone is sharing anything, he won't understand. So that way, if he is going to know his trigger points, it will be easy for him to control those emotions, to manage those emotions. So make a note of your triggers. Now the triggers need not to be only for the angerness. It can be for the depression, it can be for the excitement, it can be for the anxiety. So for anything, there are a lot of emotions, and all the emotions are always followed by the trigger points. Know those trigger points. Attaching words to emotions and journalizing them can help you get a clearer idea about what constitutes pleasant or unpleasant for you. Just get the clear idea about what is pleasant for you and what is unpleasant for you. Have that clear idea. Know those things clearly. Moving away from the self to others is a healthy approach to looking at things. Whatever I say is right. I told you to do this thing this way. I was already aware about this thing. I know you will land yourself in trouble. This self-confidence, overconfidence that I'm always right. Carrying the I attitude, carrying the self attitude over others is not a healthy approach to look into something. It is very important that you keep yourself away from this me, I, my approach. Think from other perspective also. It's not necessary that every time, at each and every point, whatever you are thinking is only right. So move yourself away from self to others is a healthy approach to looking at a thing. Whenever you'll move from I to we, whenever you will move from me to us, that is one of the healthy approach which you can adopt to solve the problem, to look at the things. Always understand, whenever you want the communication to go to go smoothly, whenever you want the communication flow to be smooth, to be good, it is very important that you focus on what others are thinking, what is their approach of thinking, what is their perspective, rather than just focusing on yourself. So it says, move away from self to others. It is one of the healthy approach to looking at things. Now, this simply means that you are going to listen to the people with open mind. And that is very, very important. Next point says that now once you have shifted your me approach to us, no one, you're not just thinking about thinking those things only from your perspective, you are considering the perspective of others. So this healthy approach you have adopted. Now another way of overcoming this emotional barrier is paying attention to details help you capture and engage with important information. It means it is very important to pay attention to what other persons are saying. When you are going to pay proper attention to what others are saying, this way you are going to show that you are engaged with the important information which the other person is sharing. So always make sure that you pay proper attention to details which will help you to capture and to understand the real and the important information which is being shared by other person. The next way is removing yourself from a situation can help you look at things from various angles. Now, when you are going to remove yourself away from a situation, when you are going to put yourself away from a situation, that is again one of the way which will help you to look at the things from various different angles. Next is by learning to move on, you will not hold yourself or others to impossible standards and will be able to minimize tension and conflicts. Many people have the tendency, or I'll say have the habit, that they keep on dragging the things. Let's say once it happens that the other person didn't listen to that person, or he didn't pay attention. Now the person just took that. Till date, what he's doing, whenever that person will come and talk to him, he'll do the same thing, because he says that when I was the speaker, he didn't pay attention. Stop dragging on these things. Come on, when you're working in the corporates, when you are working, when you are an entrepreneur, it is very important to learn how to move on from the things. You cannot hold on for the things yourself, and it is not a good way of working with other people. We all are humans, we all make mistakes. So make sure whenever something happens, you learn to move on from the things. Relaxation exercise such as mindful meditation, yoga, these all things can help you address some of the issues and overcome them in a positive manner. So it is again very important that if you are going through with a depression, you are going through with a stressful day, you are very angry with a thing, so you can also do one thing. You can perform these mindful meditation exercise. You can go for yoga. This is going to relax your mind, cool your mind, and it will help you to gain control over your anger. So that's it. He says that it is very important. Yoga and meditation are such a thing which can help you, which can always help you to relax yourself, to relax your mind, to relax your body. So whether it is angriness, whether it is going through a stressful day, tension, all these things can be relaxed by doing the simple meditation exercise. So these are few of the ways by which you can overcome the emotional barrier. Now, the fifth type of barrier which we are going to study is the cultural barrier. Do you think this acts as a barrier in communication? Culture. People in organization belong from different cultures, right? People speak different language, they have different beliefs, they use different gestures and symbols to communicate. So do you think all these things act as a barrier in the smooth process of communication? What do you think? Yes. There are a lot of different types of cultural barriers, and yes, in the smooth functioning of the organization, these cultural barriers are one of the way which affect the flow of communication in the organization. Let's say, for example, if we talk about cultural barrier, people belong from different places. They speak different languages, they have different beliefs, they follow different traditions. So, when people are from different places, when people are from different backgrounds, it is going to be a problem that how you are going to bring them to follow a common culture and to work together unitedly, having some common beliefs, following some common traditions. So that is why many times this act as a barrier to communication, and the most important barrier in the culture which comes is the language barrier. So what is cultural barrier? What is culture barrier? Culture barriers are challenges to cross-culture communication within the organization. So these are the challenges which are faced within the organization, because whenever we're talking about the organization, where there we don't have people who belong from the same place, who are from the same culture, same background, they speak same language. No, people belong from different cultures, people belong from different places, they speak different languages, they have different beliefs, and this is the reason why we face this cultural barrier within the organization. Let's say communication takes place, there's some important information which has been circulated in the organization, there's a town hall called for the organization. Every person, all the persons are sitting there. The communication goes in the assuming that each and every person in the organization will be familiar with the English. Communication goes in English. Some people may not be that comfortable in understanding that language. What happens? It acts as a barrier. They are unable to understand the real context of the meaning. They are unable to understand the communication properly, the content properly, the message properly. And why that happened? That happened because they were not comfortable in understanding the language which was being spoken. So people belong from different cultures within the organization, which leads to cultural barrier, which affect the flow of communication, which affects the communication within the organization. So here, people are from different cultures. Now, when they're from different cultures, they speak different languages, they understand different languages, they have different cultural beliefs, and they use different gestures and symbols to communicate. When we talk about non-verbal communication, we all know that non-verbal communication is one of the communication which helps you to communicate effectively and efficiently with other person. Now, when we are talking about the non-verbal communication, there you're going to see that people uses different gestures and different symbols which have different meanings in different cultures. For some, they might take the thumb as all the best, and for some, they might take it in the wrong way. So different cultural people will have the different meanings for different gestures and symbols. So again, it is very important that you understand those symbols, those gestures, those meanings when you are communicating. Always use those common gestures which do not carry different meanings in different communication, in different cultures. These cultural differences might become barriers to workplace success. So these cultural differences, they might become the barriers to workplace success. Now, the next thing which we are going to discuss is what are the cultural barriers, different types of cultural barriers. Now, it can be age, education, gender, social status, economic position, cultural background, temperament, health, beauty, popularity, religion, political beliefs, ethics, values, motives, assumptions, aspirations, rules, regulations, standards, priorities can separate one person from another and create a barrier. So these are all the different types of cultural barrier which affect the flow of communication in the organization. And each and every organization has to go with these culture, has to manage these cultural barriers, because each and every organization have people within the organization who belongs from different places, who carry different culture, who belong from different cultures. So now you might be thinking that what are the ways by which we can overcome those barriers? Do we have any ways by which we can overcome these cultural barriers? So yes, we will be discussing about those ways by which we can overcome these cultural barriers. But before that, we will be discussing more about these cultural barriers. So the first is ethnocentrism. Ethnocentrism happens when we implicitly believe our way of doing things and seeing things is the right and only way. People have that ego, right? We might have come across many people who think that, who believe that whatever we are doing, whatever way we are adopting of doing the thing, the way we are seeing the thing is the best and the only way of seeing the things. They do not value the suggestions, the beliefs, the way the other person looks. For them, their viewpoint, their way of seeing the things, their way of looking towards the thing is the only and the best way of doing and seeing the thing. So again, this is one of the reasons which act as a barrier to communication. Second, people negatively judge behavior that don't conform to our world vision. We all are very good at judging the people, and we do judge from time to time. You will see that people keep on judging the peoples. Whenever we'll see something, without even talking to that person, we just start judging that person. He is not good, he do the thing this way, his decisions are never right. Why? This is in our habit, and again this acts as a barrier, the negative judgment behavior which a person holds in the organization. Third thing is people perceive others behavior as odd and improper. We as a human being, we all have that mentality of saying that the way the other person is behaving is improper, it is not the right way. We always assume that thing. We always have such strong belief, and we are so self-centered that we always think that whatever we do, whatever we think, whatever we decide is the best. So this is the people who simply perceive, who simply think and assume that the behavior of other person is very odd, it is improper, it is not the right solution, it is not the right way of deciding the thing, it is not right way of doing the thing. So in the organization also, when people belong from different culture, they have different ways of looking towards the thing, they have different ways of doing the thing, and that leads to barrier in communication, because the way I'm doing the thing, I'm going to think the other person's way as improper, different, odd. So that is what we people think, and it is not just about one single people. Every individual who is working in the organization, who belongs from different culture, they will see their way of working, their way of thinking, their way of looking towards the thing of other person is very different. So ethnocentrism also creates an us versus them mentality that can be detrimental. So what mentality? This ethnocentrism, this is creating a mentality of feeling in the individual which says us versus them, me versus them. So every time people start thinking that yes, it is something which says us versus them, it says people are against me, people are against us, people are against my belief, but it is not so. But this is the mentality which people create. This is the natural tendency to look at other cultures through our own lenses. That's what I say. It is not about one person who is thinking this way. No, it is the natural tendency which most of the people who belong from different culture have with them. People always carry such tendencies with them. That whatever I'm doing, whatever my culture says, whatever I believe is only the right way of doing the thing, is only the best way of doing the thing. After ethnocentrism, the second is stereotyping. What is stereotyping? We hear this word. This is a very common word. So what exactly is stereotyping? Every individual carries a unique personality. Every individual is unique in himself. You cannot predict a person's behavior based on his or her nationality. No, you can never say that this person belongs from this nation, this person belongs from this place, so he will have a certain type of personality. No, every individual, no matter whether they belong from the same place, whether they belong from the same culture, still each and every person is going to have their own different and unique personality. We all are Indians. If we talk about nationality, we all share the same common nationality, that we all are Indians. But do you think, being Indians, we all carry the same personality? We all have the same personality? Yes, Pushkar? Pushkar, you have raised your hand. Do you want to say something? You want to say something? Okay. So, stereotyping, it means that whenever we talk about the individual, let's say in the organization, there are 20 different people working in the organization. All 20 people will have their own unique identity. Just seeing their culture, just seeing their background, seeing the place from where they belong, you cannot predict the behavior of that person. You cannot say that, okay, these all persons are Indians, so they carry the same nature. No, that is not possible. So each and every individual, whether they belong from the same nationality, they belong from the same culture, they belong from the same place, still they will carry a unique identity. So do not predict the behavior of the person, the identity of the person, the personality of the person on basis of his or her nationality. Stereotypes are mostly negative images or preconceived notions about a specific community, group, or culture. So, stereotyping is basically we create a negative image, a preconceived notation about the specific community, specific caste, specific group, specific culture. To already just decide something that, okay, if the person belongs from this culture, if the person belongs from this uh, background, if the person belongs from this specific community, he or she will have these set of characteristics, or he or she will have this kind of behavior that cannot be predicted. You might find 10 people who belong from same culture. Out of 10, two might have entire different way, entire different ways of looking towards the thing, dealing with the thing. So do not carry that image, that negative image, the preconceived notation of any person on basis of their caste, creed, group, culture, or community. Let's say if we talk about our nation, we usually have the perception, the negative image that Indians are usually late. If we tell them to reach somewhere at 7 o'clock, they'll reach there by 7:15, or the program will start by 7:15, 7:20. So they are never punctual. Do you think this is applicable to each and every person who is having the Indian nationality? No. It is not suitable, it is not right for each and every person. There are many person, though they carry Indian nationality, they'll reach there on time. Though the people in US, they carry the US nationality, but still they will get late. So this is not on basis of the nationality from which you belong. It is the individual unique characteristic which a person has, which a person decides himself. So that is why we say that never create a negative image about a person on basis of his community, group, or culture. Next is, it's also common to rely on oversimplified cliches about people from different culture. Learning about differences can be useful as a starting point. We should know about the culture of different people so that we do not do something which is showing disrespect to other person, but that doesn't mean you create a image, you predict about person's personality on basis of their community, group, or culture, or the place. Next, sorry. Yeah. So, for example, when we were moving to UK, French friend told us the British never invite you for dinner, which is a common social activity in France. We happens to have the loveliest British neighbors who invited us for dinner more often. So now what had happened, we had that mentality, the prediction, the negative image in our mind related to the British people, that British people are such a people who never invite people for the dinner, who are not engaged in these social activities. But to our good luck. Those people had the British neighbor who more often called them for the dinner. So what you are going to say for this type of people? So it depends upon the person's perception rather than depending upon the nationality, depending upon the community, the group, the culture from which the person belongs. The third thing, language. Not speaking the same language can cause a myriad of understanding. Yes, misunderstanding. Yes, it is absolutely true that when we do not speak the same language, it acts as a barrier to effective communication. It acts as a reason why the people are unable to communicate effectively and efficiently. It is considered the most crucial barrier in cross-cultural communication. Yes. Now, when people are working from different backgrounds, when people are in the organization from different culture, they will have this as a barrier, the language. People will not speak the same language. They will not communicate in the same language. They might not even understand a common language. So this is the most crucial barrier in the cross-culture communication. Verbal communication is important in every context, but the meaning of the words can literally get lost in translation. You all know that verbal communication is the most common and the most important type of communication which we use when we are communicating, but the meaning of the words can get lost in the translation period. If one person isn't aware about the exact meaning of a word, it may be misunderstood or misinterpreted by the other person and lead to a conflict of idea. This can happen. So whenever you will see a person who is speaking something and two people who are communicating with each other, if they do not share the common language, if they do not know the common language, then the meaning of the words, the interpretation of the meaning of the word, extracting the wrong meaning of the word can lead to misunderstanding, misinterpretation by the other person, and which can lead to conflict of idea, because both the people will say that the word spoken was that, but both of them assumed, took the wrong meaning of the word. So this is because of the language barrier. The fourth type is behavior and the beliefs. Cultural differences cause behavior and the personality differences like body language, gestures, mindset, communication, manners, norms, which may lead to miscommunication. These are cultural differences that causes the behavioral and the personality differences, and the differences like the difference in the body language. Many culture have the different meanings of this non-verbal communication, that is body language, gestures, mindset, communication. So again, that can lead to misunderstanding, miscommunication of the message when it is being delivered from one person to another. Eye contact, for example, is very important in some culture, but rude and disrespectful in others. Many people, when you will continuously look into their eyes when you are communicating, they'll think that the person is being rude, the person is being ill-mannered, the person is being disrespectful towards me. Just the reason is, in his culture, they believe that you should not have the continuous eye contact with other person, or it can be that subordinate cannot have continuous eye contact with the manager. They take this as a disrespect or being rude, the rudeness of other person. But for some cultures and some organization, if you do not pay proper attention, if you do not do eye contact, they believe that you are distracted. So how you're going to keep a balance between these two things when same thing in different culture will have different meaning? How you're going to work on this thing? So it is very important to know which culture has this meaning and try to avoid depending upon the cultures. People varied religious or spiritual belief can also lead to conflict and cross-cultural beliefs. Yes, this is also true. Different cultures also have different understanding of time. Some countries like Germany, Netherlands, Scandinavia, Switzerland, US tend to view time as linear. Time is money, punctuality is great value. Many southern European countries like Spain, Italy see time as multi-active. So many people who belong from different culture, who belong from different nationality, who belong from different group, who belong from different places have different meaning of the same thing. Like for Germany, Switzerland, time is viewed as a linear. For some, it is viewed as money. For some, it is viewed as multi-active. So each person assume the thing in a different way, and this is the reason which act as a barrier to communication. Now, to avoid these barriers to communication, it is very important that you set some common and the ground rules which are to be followed by each and every person who is working in the organization. We have two more things which we are going to discuss in this cultural barrier, but those we are going to discuss in the next session of business communication. Till here, if you have any doubt related to the emotional barrier, all the culture barrier, you can please ask. Do you have any doubt related to these two barriers? No. Okay. So with this, we have come to the end of today's session of business communication. Now, the next session, we will be talking about the new module in Microsoft Office, that is PowerPoint presentation. So we'll be starting with the new module, PowerPoint presentation, in next 10 minutes, where we'll be discussing about the introduction of PowerPoint presentation, why it is required, and how we use PowerPoint. With this, we'll end the session. Bye-bye. Have a wonderful day.